eat my shorts.
God, you are an incredibly big piece of
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
What is main character energy? Apart from obviously just being the main character, what does main character energy look like in modern movies?
Longest hour of my life. What? I'm running away with your wife.
It comes in many different forms, but very often it's just when a character in a movie separates themselves from the crowd by doing or saying something that only someone as charming and intelligent as a main character could pull off.
You've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
When a character has main character energy, they are often charismatic,
Rich Corinthian leather.
confident, verging on arrogant,
I'm in the middle of an interrogation. This moron is giving me everything.
and typically they have that confidence rewarded. To be honest, they aren't really anything like ourselves, really more often they're how we'd like to see ourselves. And that's probably why this type of character is everywhere in movies.
For men, self-improvement ends at toilet training.
So why are they of interest, and how do they affect different types of movies? The most obvious genre where they find success is in action movies.
Starfleet Command has ordered us to rescue them. Captain.
God, Chris Pine really is the full package, isn't he? Throughout the whole movie, he displays his charm and reckless arrogance to the nth degree.
Maybe you can't count. If there are 4 of us and 1 of you.
So get some more guys, and then it'll be an even fight.
Of course, he is punished for his arrogance several times, but he always bounces back. And by the end of the movie, he has secured the ultimate male fantasy:
Dock control reports ready, Captain.
owning a spaceship while looking like Chris Pine. This is peak main character energy. Arrogance and charm rewarded. Another example of main character energy is when everyone around the main character is so ridiculous and off-putting that they end up looking charming just by comparison.
This is $800.
No kidding. It's on sale.
Oh my gosh.
Are you serious?
This is great because you can put any average Joe character that the audience will relate to, but they'll still have that same sense of superiority that makes main characters thrive.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't buy a skirt without asking your friends first if it looks good on you. I wouldn't? Right.
This is especially useful in comedies, since the supporting cast stupidity can be used to create a joke.
A more micro form of management. Jim, what is that called?
Microregiment?
Boom. Yes. Now, Jim.
So what exactly happens when you combine these elements of main character energy, but in a drama?
Yeah, it does. It's in his contract.
Take a look at this scene from the Best Picture winner, The Green Book.
At least can play on anything you put in front of him.
First, just like in comedies, the supporting character is made to look stupid, in this case by being racist.
Just get a clean Steinway in here.
Oh, they're in a Steinway on campus.
Not my problem.
And then when he refuses to cooperate, we get the payoff.
I guess you better move your ass in.
Who you think you're talking to, greaseball?
At the end of all this, just like in action movies, we immediately see the reward of his behavior. The interesting thing about this scene is that because it immediately cuts to this reward, it's very clearly glorifying this violent behavior. And in its defense, it does try to address this later on.
You never win with violence, Tony. You only win when you maintain your dignity. Dignity always prevails.
The only issue is, as we've already seen, that's not really true. Sometimes in these sorts of movies, main character energy can be a little dangerous to use, because unlike action movies that are just made to entertain, or comedies that are just made for laughs,
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm!
these movies are usually made to have some sort of message. They're usually supposed to mean something. The audience is supposed to take something away from them. But then what do you take away when you see this?
Malfoy, you okay?
That violence can be great for bonding with friends.
That felt good.
Not good. Brilliant.
When you break down main character energy with these sorts of personalities, you realize they're very enjoyable to watch, but at their core, they're usually massive narcissists.
Which is strange after 102 in season. I see. If you lose the last game of the season, nobody gives a shit.
Like here, Brad Pitt's character has a new idea of how he wants to run the ball club. But instead of communicating it clearly, we get this.
Is a 6 at best.
Look, if we're trying to replace Giambi, this guy could be it. I agree with you.
When you really think about this scene, this is the worst boss on the face of the planet. He thinks he's better than everyone, and when he does know something that could be useful, he goes about communicating it in the most confusing and condescending way known to man.
You're funny, Pete.
In other situations, they're not even necessarily narcissists. They just do and get away with things that don't ever actually happen in real life.
And this is no longer my father's company. It's no longer my husband's company. It's my company. And anyone who thinks otherwise probably doesn't belong on my board.
Now, it's a nice speech, but at the end of the day, it possesses a very shower moment-like quality, where they say exactly what they want to say, perfectly, without being interrupted, and with the exact intended effect they aim for. It comes off less as something truthful and more as a fantasy playing out in someone's head. Now, I know it's easy to criticize these scenes watching them in a vacuum, but it's important to remember that the reason these characters are everywhere in movies is because people love watching them. They like seeing that pride, that I'm better than ever attitude, that feeling of being there with a character proving someone else wrong.
Well, I got a number. How do you like them apples?
But there are a couple downsides to this type of character. The first is that these sort of shower moments in media can sometimes have an impact on people's opinions of what's right and wrong. A good example of this is just common discourse.
Freedom and freedom. So let's keep it that way.
For example, if I know someone is wrong, I have the right to condescendingly put them down.
The UK, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, Australia, Belgium has freedom.
You see this one in the real world a lot nowadays. The second is that dramas often exist to illuminate some truth about the world. But with main character energy, that truth gets put on the back burner, and the world surrounding these characters changes.
You got another 22 or Saturday night special?
Mm-hmm. And it shoots just fine all the other days, too.
And the world stops being authentic to accommodate for them. The fact is that main character energy is entirely dependent on how the movie and its world responds to these characters' personalities. And I think movies that actually show the truth of these characters deserve infinite praise in comparison.
Sir, let those laugh that win.
This is Stanley Kubrick's 1975 movie Barry Lyndon, and in it, the main character Redmond displays typical main character energy.
My toast to you, Captain John Quinn.
He's charmingly narcissistic, he thinks himself deserving of everything, and he deals with most of his problems either through violence or by putting someone else down. But what follows isn't some reward or feeling of gratification, but instead a slow and steady fall from grace, where Redmond starts to feel the consequences of his behavior. It's a much more truthful representation of what these actions garner. Misery. Really, if there is an issue here, it's that so many movies try to take the moral high ground, but then have their main character act like an ass because it's enjoyable to watch.
Throw that punch. You like county food?
This is a common problem with movies that try to be artistic. They want to show good themes, but they also want to entertain. So the truth gets muddled between something that's fact
Welcome.
and something that's fiction. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that main character energy doesn't belong in movies, because as we've already seen, it works great in the right type of movie.
You are without doubt the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
But you have heard of me.
Still, all great stories about morals and people that drive us to a better world are great because they're steeped in truth.
I was really very moved,
But there's nothing truthful about who these characters are, and none of these movies seem to want to recognize that. They just want to make the main character entertaining.
Okay, look, I think we got off on the wrong foot here.
That's all you got, lady. 2 wrong feet in fucking ugly shoes.
And a lot of the time they do this by making us feel better about our worst qualities. But it's important to recognize that for these types of movies, it's not about making the main character likable.
No kidding.
Or badass.
I'm a lawyer and an officer in the United States Navy. And you're under arrest, you son of a bitch.
It's about making them fit.
She totally denies the fact that we were never that comfortable with one another to begin with.
in the world and the story that you're telling. My name is Jerry, and this was Pictures in Time. Thanks for watching.